morning, everybody. Good morning. This is me, Erin Carrera, the Modern Oracle, live on 1-2 Radio here on YouTube. It is Tuesday, July 28th. And if you have been waiting for us to get started, thank you for sticking around with us. We had some technical issues at the beginning of the hour with microphones and such, but we are here now, and I'm excited to be with you. I want to mention that I will be checking in on the chat room if you are here and you want to ask some questions, particularly about today's topic, which I'll get into in a moment. Please do leave a comment in the YouTube comment section if you're watching live, and that's where I will check in, because today's topic is something I think we're all really going through. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked back and realized that your body knew something months before you were willing to admit it? I bet the answer is yes. Because today we are talking about when the body whispers before it shouts. We are talking about burnout. We are talking about exhaustion. We're also talking about pushing too hard, expecting too much, and in general about what do we really expect from our bodies, and what do our bodies really need from us, right? And I say this as a very overachieving, I'm not an overachiever, I'm just an achiever, is what my snarky inner self wanted to say just now. Like, how dare you call me over? I'm just achiever. But I am historically an overachiever. And I historically do the work of at least 100 women. I don't know. That sounds really weird to say, but I know a lot of you out there are like, yup, me too. I know it. And I have the most amazing, interesting cultural gift in the world, in that in my romantic life, I married a man from Italy. Now, don't get me wrong. Italians are hardworking, but they do not eat and work. Verboten. Oh, that's German. Proibito. No, non mangiare e lavorare. You don't eat and work at the same time. That's bad for your digestion. That is bad for your health. It is true. We go to Italy. I eat everything. Everyone eats their own pizza, right? It depends on what kind of pizza. That's the whole thing. But if you're in Napoli, where my husband's from, you get your own pizza, thin crust. You eat your own pizza. People aren't splitting up a pizza unless they're kids, right? You eat your own pizza. And I'm not one who cares about the number on the scale. Maybe I am, but not really. I don't monitor that stuff. I don't keep myself from having fun. I eat whatever I want. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other time. And I don't ever gain weight in Italy. And I know everyone's like, because you're walking so much, which is true, but I walk a lot in my regular life. It's just partially because the quality of ingredients, partially because you are sitting there having a long lunch, a long dinner. You take your time, one course at a time. You talk, you digest, you enjoy, right? Another thing about this is not just to be rah Italy, but to say there are things that I have learned spending so much time and living in another culture about the way we run our bodies here in the United States and the way they enjoy their bodies in Italy, right? We really are workaholics. And some of that might feel like it's because we have to be. If I don't work, I don't earn an income. If I don't get all these projects done, I will lose my job. I think younger generations are so much better about this, and I'm really glad they are at saying, yeah, no, right? A couple years back when quiet quitting was all the rage, I feel like we lost boundaries. And I still see on LinkedIn today, there are CEOs who are like, no, you can't have boundaries. You can't have balance if you're going to be successful. And I just think everyone gets to define their own success. But when we are believing we can override our bodies, and I know there's lots of CEOs, I'm thinking of that guy who, gets dialysis using blood from his 17-year-old son. We all know who I'm talking about, that dude, Brian something or other. When we have people trying to override their biology, and there are ways that we can. We have Advil now, we didn't have 200 years ago. We have glasses and contact lenses we didn't have hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Things that we can do now. We have insulin if you're diabetic, we didn't have before. You can overcome many things, and that's wonderful. But the fundamental fact is still not only that we have a body we can't override, but we have a body that is marvelous at letting us know things about our health, things about our energy, things about our actual feelings and opinions and beliefs about things that we think, things that we might know ahead of time. I'll tell you, my personal psychic body, I always, if I, there's, my body is the first to tell me. And that's what I wanted to talk about with all of you today. Because I want to talk about our health, our mental health, our physical health. But I want us to understand how important it is to be in touch with our bodies. You can see, well, you can't see because my hands are below the camera now, but I'm sort of stroking my legs, right? How in touch we can be with our bodies. Now, I'm going to tell you something that some people aren't going to like, which is that I think a lot of modern society, in particular certain religions, and in particular certain aspects of modern society, really want us to stay disconnected from our bodies. Really. Or they, over many years, indoctrinated us to be disconnected from our bodies for so many different reasons. And I think that whatever our beliefs are or are not around things like working out, diet culture, food and health, food beliefs, eating clean as a moral virtue, obviously I think that's BS. Personally, we could talk about that if you want, let me know. Or things like certain religious perspectives on our body, which if you're that religious in that way, I can't imagine you're watching my show unless you're my relative. I really feel like whatever our beliefs may be about that, we still can give ourselves the gift of learning to tune into our bodies as a way of understanding ourselves and what we need and what we actually have to offer. And that's partially what we're going to be talking about today, okay? I think a lot of people are walking around with a low level of depression, or a low level of anhedonia, or a low level of fatigue. Or maybe some of you are watching this show and you're like, I'm at high levels now, Erin. I just want to check in on our chat room because I want to make sure that I'm checking in on you all when we're talking about something I think that you might want to ask about. So, of course, I don't have my glasses, so I can't see anything. That's great. I love it. This is just more of the fun technicalities of life. But good morning, Quelly. I can see it's you. Thank you for coming, lady. So good to see you. All right. I think it's important for us to just take a moment, and I want you to just put your hand on your heart. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in and let it out with a sigh, or a noise, or whatever comes out. And now I want you, if you're sitting, I want you to focus your attention on your sits bones, right? The bones that you're sitting on. I want you to just feel your seat in your chair. And if you're standing, I want you to focus on the bottom of your feet. And I want you to feel the bottom of your feet on the floor or on the ground. And I want you to imagine you can breathe in to the bottom of your feet. And I want you to see how that brings heat and energy and a sort of solid, grounded feeling to the bottom of your feet. Now I want you to imagine you can breathe into your booty, into your sits bones, right? As if the imagery, but I want you to just imagine you can get support and groundedness from the connection between your seat, your sits bones, and your seat. And I want to see if you can feel the warmth and the heat and the groundedness. Now I want you to imagine, so you can see, you should be able to see the bottom of my hand at the bottom of the screen. I think you should be able, if I sit up a little. Right here at your solar plexus, if you imagine when your rib cage comes together, just below where your diaphragm is, right? In between where your belly button is, and where it's called the what is it? The zymatic process. I forget. We're looking at 20 years since I've taken my anatomy courses. But right there where they meet, you know how there's like the rib cage, and there's almost like a little soft piece of, it's like bone. It's actually a connective tissue, right? It's a tendon in there. It's kind of soft and a little mushy, right where your rib cage meets. Just below that, that's your solar plexus. Can you feel the energy there? I want you to imagine that you can breathe right into that space. Okay? Can you breathe into that space? And as you breathe out, what I want you to do is I want you to put your hand right in there, right in the diaphragm. If you ever took an acting class or a singing class, or if you were in choir, you know what I'm talking about. You know where that diaphragm is. When you get the hiccups, that's the muscle that's going like, right? I want you to breathe in. And as you breathe out, I want you to push your hand in on yourself, right? So it's like breathing in. And as I exhale, I'm pushing out my hand with the muscles that my hand are pushing into. Right? The reason I want you to do that is because now I want you to just place your hand there. And I just want you to breathe into that solar plexus. And exhale. And I want to see if you can feel energy there. Maybe you feel tension. Maybe you feel anxiety. Maybe you feel anger. Maybe you feel power. Whatever you feel, it's okay. I just want you to notice it. And we're going to do one more of these for now. I want you to put your hand on your heart. Then I want you to I've got my right hand on my heart and my left hand over that hand. And I'm just going to massage that heart area a little. And I do have it right over my heart. If you don't know, your heart is on the left side of your chest cavity. Not immediately as far as I have my hands. It's more like here. And I want you to just pause for a moment and see if you can feel that heartbeat against your hand. If you can't, that's okay. Just keep listening. And I want you to see if you can feel any energy. Maybe you feel warmth and heat. I can feel my heart starting to go against my hand, right? Take a deep breath in and out. And maybe you might start to feel a little tingling. You might start to feel emotions. You might just be coming into your body. Whatever you're feeling, however you're feeling it, is all perfectly fine. You might feel nothing, and that is okay. You might be like, all I can feel is literally the sensory tactile feeling of my fingers against the fabric of my shirt. Great. You don't have to go deep on this. Right now, we're just getting in touch with our heart, with our solar plexus, with our body. And there are so many reasons why we lose connection to our bodies. Some of us really have been taught not to love our bodies, to dislike our bodies, to think our bodies are something we have to whip into shape. All kinds of feelings that we're going to start to have about our bodies. And I'm going to ask you just for the next little bit with me that if a feeling or a judgment comes up, you just say, I see you. Don't agree with it, unless you want to. But for now, just, I see you. But how do you feel? I see you. But what else do you want to tell me? Right? We're not looking to become perfect or spiritually perfect or say the right things or think the right things. I want us to get in touch with what is. Because when we are overriding our bodies, let's say we're manifesting, right? You're manifesting a raise at work and you want to use your body and use your whole system, and your body is a part of your whole system in that manifestation. but you are ignoring things like maybe you don't like your body, and so you've ignored it for a long time, and your body is going to say, oh, you're paying attention to me. Hey, guess what? I'm really stiff and sore. Can we do something about that? No, I don't have time. Oh, hey, you're finally paying attention to me. I'm really sad and I need to feel some of these emotions. No, we're supposed to be positive so we can manifest a raise at work. Whatever, right? I think a lot of us are over the positive thing. But if we don't be with what is first, we might manifest all kinds of things we didn't intend to, because we're planting seeds in soil that isn't what we imagined it to be. And B, we might be ignoring or missing completely other really important information and clues. So, what are some of the ways that your body is going to whisper before it shouts? Of course, some of it might be knowing, right? You might just get a knowing. I get a knowing in my body about things. That's why so often if I'm doing a reading, if I'm over on 1-2 Listen and somebody calls me, I just kind of go very quiet and I go dark a little, right? To allow for the information to come in. Your connection to your body might be inclusive of some of the same things. See how I keep touching myself? I would love, in this exploration with me today, for you to just kind of keep touching parts of your body. Could be random, but what I'm going to tell you what I'm doing is I'm actually putting my hand, and I'm not massaging, but I'm not just lightly touching either. Sometimes you lightly touch, but right now we're going to firmly touch as if you were putting your hand on the shoulder of a teenager who just did a good job and you're saying, well done. So it's like a little bit of pressure, but not enough to feel uncomfortable. It's just a little bit of warmth and pressure. And I'm putting my hand with that little bit of warmth and pressure wherever I have pain. Because if we can acknowledge where there is physical pain, that is the beginning, or sometimes the second or third step of hearing the body whisper before it shouts, right? Because this is one of the things to pay attention to. If you have a headache, that's information. Where is the headache? That's information. You have a neck ache, that's information. Where is the neck ache? It's information not just about your musculature, your nervous system, water, sleep, stiffness, sleeping in one position too long, sitting in one position for too long, right? It's information about all of that, but it might also be emotional, psychic, and spiritual information for you to investigate, right? If you are experiencing things like joint aches, that's information. Now, that might be for a variety of reasons. It might be food allergies, inflammation, perimenopause, menopause hormones. You lifted too heavy at the gym yesterday. It could be a number of things. It's information. And you begin to investigate, right? If you start to have changes in your hair, changes in your skin, isn't that a huge one? Acne you never had, now you've got it. Acne goes away. Melasma, rosacea, dry patches, oily patches, just changes, right? Changes. Because your body speaks to you. Your body speaks to you. It speaks to all of the other bodies out there. It speaks to the room. It is always receiving information and transmitting information, right? And that is why when things become too much, like if you have allergies and all of a sudden you are sneezing or itching, those neuroreceptors are getting information and about certain proteins in your body, and your body is trying to tell you, uh-oh, got to do something about this. And maybe that is, you're allergic to cats and you shouldn't have a cat, sadly, right? Or maybe that's, you can take an antihistamine or you can get the allergy shots, right? I mean, I'm being very basic. You guys get it. So most people, when it comes to things like work, dreams, habits, indoctrinations, we will override our bodies. And I'm here begging us not to, right? Because the body will whisper first. It will whisper to you with poor sleep, pain, tension, maybe jaw clenching. Maybe you notice you're clenching your hands. Maybe you've been having digestive changes. Maybe things like, constipation, diarrhea, all kinds of digestive issues that could pop up, right? It could be things like if you're getting sick repeatedly, if you have chronic fatigue, if you notice there's so many different ways your body is going to tell you, and it may not always be a disease or an illness. It might be something else emotional that we can approach alongside or first, right? Just feeling off, right? How many people get brain fog or the energy just isn't the same? And I know how frustrating it is to go through some of these things and not necessarily get support, right? Like how many times I've heard from people that they'll have brain fog and their energy is off, and they might go see a professional about it, and the professional's response is not thoughtful always or caring. And you really need to learn to advocate for yourself. I'm not saying that's true of all professionals. I'm just saying I've heard enough stories to know that especially certain populations experience a bias where their concerns about their health isn't taken as seriously. But I'm here to offer some clues for support and some ways that we can love our bodies as we are listening to our bodies and seek to remove self-judgment and remove self-punishment and remove habits of judgment and remove habits of punishment so that we might really truly better our lives. I'll tell you, I don't really know anyone whose life is really better being cruel and mean to their body. They might tell you, oh no, because then I got my body and shit. This is very popular on social media right now, right? Where it's like people are overriding their dietary needs and becoming way too thin. As an example, I know we shouldn't be judgmental, but where somebody's really overriding at a level that's unhealthy, and then they're saying it's their discipline. Well, let's see what happens in a few years, right? To your bone mass, your teeth, your hair, all those kinds of things. Because there's levels, right? But I don't think we should be punishing people, let alone ourselves. It just makes for a better life if we can do this, including ourselves, including loving ourselves. Okay? So there are four main ways that the body will speak to you. Number one is stress, right? Stress is like everyone's got stress, right? But your nervous system, it is not just about the emotions. It is physical, and stress might show up in ways that aren't just like anxiety or like teeth clenching or anger or irritability or any of that sort of thing. It might really show up as stomach pain or digestive issues or like reflux, heartburn, or as headaches, tension headaches, neck, shoulder pain, lower back pain. Anywhere we have injuries might start to get a little bit of stress because that's a vulnerable point. Immunity, right? The second way your body will speak to you is bodily intuition. Now, when we're talking about psychic work, there are people who hear, see, feel, know the information, right? There's clear audio, you hear it, clairsentience, you feel it, clear visual, right? You can see it. There's all different ways people receive information, but with your own body, your intuition might start to tell you things, right? You might feel fear that makes no sense, and that might be your body saying something. You might start to feel just off, and that's your intuition saying, look, something's not aligned. Can you just take a moment? Talk to me. Your body will have some answers for you, right? If you ask yourself, if I change rooms, like if I walk from here into the kitchen, what changes? If you ask yourself, if I change environments, like if I'm, here at my home and I go to work and I notice just how my body changes. These are things that you can start to ask yourself and check in with your body about, because then you will become used to, this is what my body is like at stasis. And then when I start getting this one neck headache, like right here on the right back of my head at the occipital ridge, that is a sign about something, right? That becomes a clue. And it might be that you get, do you know what a coat hanger syndrome is? Where the coat hanger is the back of your head, down your neck, and your shoulders, right? Think about if there were a coat hanger behind you, like taped to your body. A lot of people get this like level of tension all through that area, and it might become a pattern that becomes a clue to let you know, oh, I'm not sleeping enough. Oh, I'm having too much stress at work over too long a period. I need to do something about this. And it's no joke, because over time, these things might cause all kinds of other issues, right? Not to mention, it's just better for your life if you're in touch with your body, because then it'll tell you other things. All right, number 3. The number 3 way that your body will speak to you, and this is what we're trying to prevent, is burnout, right? Burnout rarely arrives suddenly, almost never. It's just that we get to a point where the body tells us enough and shuts something down, right? There's somebody in my life who has an autoimmune condition, and it didn't come on overnight, but there came a day where this person said, okay, no more. I got to change my life totally. Had to really change how much they worked, how much they socialized, because they're an introvert, what they were eating, what they were doing with their time throughout the day. 180 on their life. But their body couldn't do it anymore. So they couldn't do it anymore, because the body just kept finding new ways to have a new thing happen. It was part of an autoimmune condition, but it was also that this person learned, okay, there are these certain foods that are triggers, and there's this, if I don't sleep this certain amount, it's a trigger, and if I have this much stress in my life, it's a trigger, and I'm just not willing to push my body any further. There was just that point. So burnout will arrive when we keep saying, okay, I'll sleep later. I will rest later after this is done. After this project is done. But after this project, I have these other 3 projects. So after these 4 projects are done, then I will rest. Never taking vacations. I'll just push one more week, right? Eventually, your body will say no. There are people I know who don't have the privilege of saying no. I understand. I do. But eventually, your body will say no. I see some people in the chat room. I just want to say hello to all of you. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. I can't see. I'm so blind. I have to like close my eyes. You guys are getting all the real deal. I'm sorry. I can see someone very cool. I can't see who it is. Thanks for being here. Forgot my glasses. They're all the way over there on the desk. This is sometimes technology is giving us clues as well, right? Okay, what's the 4th way? What do you think is the 4th way that your body speaks to you? We know that there's stress, there's intuition, there's burnout. I mean, there's many ways your body can speak to you. But in terms of what we're talking about, this is the positive one. This is the hopeful one. That is healing, right? Because your body might talk to you. I mean, we love falling in love, right? Because your heart is fluttering. You get that excited butterfly feel in your stomach. Maybe if you're like me, you get this tingling, you get a little high, you get like a little like spring in your step, you've got extra energy. Oh boy, when I fall in love, I can't sleep. In a way, it's almost a torture for me, because I can't sleep, and I might even get a little crazy, right? Like, I mean, I get a little crazy. I'm a little crazy when I fall in love, and I giggle and I laugh a lot. It's really fun. There's a limit, and there's a way that can become addictive. But for what we're talking about, healing is not just about removing symptoms, although sometimes we'll just take what we can get. Healing is when your nervous system can finally return, right, to the rest and digest, instead of being in fight, flight, uh, fawn, and freeze. That's when your nervous system is on alert, right? And our nervous systems can get stuck on alert over time, repeated. Healing, so much about healing, really, from one perspective, from the perspective of what can we do for ourselves, is creating a nervous system, creating a life where your nervous system no longer has to fight at every moment just to survive, right? Because that is not the intention for being alive. There are times where that is so important, but there are times, and for the most part, where we're actually intended to be kind of relaxed, working, but not as if we're working for our lives. So I wanted to run through a few different parts of the body, and just talk about what emotional and psychological and psychic and spiritual um, areas of life those parts of the body are related to, right? So, for example, headaches. Headaches are often about perfectionism, right? It's about pressure, like literally, right? If you've ever had pressure headaches, but other kinds of headaches too. Migraines are a little different, but they are included in this. Pressure, perfectionism, being too hard on yourself, overriding yourself to please others or yourself, right? The neck, your neck, if you have neck issues, I have a lot of neck issues because of car accidents and motorcycle accidents. Well, just one motorcycle accident, but necks are also about flexibility, right? About being able to see another point of view, right? When we're talking about your shoulders, we are talking about carrying the weight of the world. Think about, my mother calls it the dowager's hump. You know, that part on the back of your, right at the very top of your back, that can get a little hunchback from people who are always slunched over. Just think about what happens if you put your shoulders back and down as if you were counteracting that. What do you feel? Can you do that? Lower back is very often about support issues. That's why sometimes money issues show up in your lower back, right? Because financial support is a part of your support system. So if you feel unsupported, if you are feeling a lot of financial fear, it might show up in your lower back. Your stomach is going to be about your ability to digest life, your ability to handle what's happening. Are you fully expressing yourself in a healthy way? Are you able to express your anger in a healthy way? Or are you losing your, right? Bleep. Like literally, right? So these are basics, right? We could go in on, a lot of you know that I did massage therapy. I was trained in hand and foot reflexology. We could talk about the meridians. We could talk about Louise Hay and her system. But even if you just think about kind of some of the basics for your own self, the more you get in touch with your body, the more you'll begin to notice, oh, yeah, I noticed that my knees have a lot of tracking issues because it's actually coming from my hips, because I don't feel supported in this area, or I'm having to do all of this energy to support myself and 8 people, whatever that may be, right? You can start to get to know your own body and your own patterns and fluctuations, and that will help you tremendously. So there are things I wanted to talk about today, and maybe we'll talk next month when we talk about the body. But I'm going to run out of time if I talk about things like the vagus nerve and reflexology. So instead, I just want to give you a short little practice you can do to be in touch with your own body, and just ask yourself through your body, not through your mind, but as much as possible through your body, what's happening and what do you need? So this can be a journal practice, or this can be something you do with me right now, right? So I invite you to first just put your hand on your heart. If you do body scan meditations, I'd love to run you through a body scan meditation. Maybe next time we'll do a body scan meditation, because that really gets you in touch with your body. I want you to just put your hand on your heart and see if you can feel that heart beating back. Or maybe you could just talk to yourself out loud for a minute, because when I put my hand on my heart, I can feel the vibrations, because I am using my chest voice a little, right? I can feel the vibration of my voice coming through. I can feel it specifically in my, reverberating against my rib cage. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And I just want you to ask yourself right now, where do I feel tension? Where do I feel tension? And just, some of you, it'll pop up right away, right? Oh, I have a headache. Oh, my neck. Some of you might be like, oh, weird. I got a little tension right here, and a little tension right here. I got a little elbow joint tension, whatever it is. Just where, maybe it's your jaw, maybe it's your booty, maybe it's your lower back, maybe it's your feet. Just where do you feel tension? And now I want you to ask yourself, imagine you could breathe into that part of your body where you're feeling tension. Oh, I'm feeling a little tension right here on my shoulder, on the outside of my arm. What emotions might live here? Are there any emotions living here in this tension? I mean, and it might show up, like what I just heard for myself is courage. Do I need courage? Am I ignoring courage? Am I lacking courage? Right? For you, it might be anger, exhaustion. It might not be an emotion. It might be fear. It might be a habit. It might be people pleasing, perfectionism, whatever it is. Just ask your body. Ask that part of your body, what are you trying to tell me? And then I want you to ask that part of your body, what do you need? And then I want you to give that to yourself. I want you to give that part of your body what it needs. All right, you've come to the end of another episode of the Modern Oracle with me, your host, Erin Carrera. We're running out of time, so there's so much more to talk about, but I thank you all so much for being here today. And we'll talk more about this in the coming months. For sure in August, we'll talk about this again. We'll do some body scans. We'll do some practices to really get into our bodies on a deep level. So this will be the primer, and we'll go deep together. If you want to come find me over on one2listen.com/Erin, that's Erin with an E, I'll be available at 10 a.m. today. And then later this afternoon, I'd love to talk with you. Until next week. Oh, stay tuned, because coming up next, if you're watching live, is CA. So go to 12radio.com, get the YouTube link for her show. She's coming up at 9 a.m. And I'll see you next week. Bye.